golly gosh, this is our 1 year anniversary. Can
Whoop, whoop.
you absolutely just blows my mind. 1 year.
Yeah, we should be very proud of ourselves, and we've been consistent. It's all we asked of ourselves was to be consistent. I know we've said it before, but we're going to say it again for everyone in the back. We are patting ourselves on the back. It feels real natural now. It feels good. I'm excited about it every week, and yeah, I think we have done a great job. It's my favorite piece of well, I suppose, would marketing be the right word? Not marketing. It's my favorite way of putting ourselves out there.
Yeah. And
It's
it
Instagram.
all started with just writing down on New Year's Eve, buy a microphone. And here we are 1 year later, well, more than a year from that. But we didn't get round to buying the microphones and recording till February 26th to be precise. But here we are 1 year on. And what a journey.
Yeah, and it just goes to show we're all capable of anything.
Oh, there's been times where we've almost missed a week, or we've wanted to give up, but we didn't, and we're here and we're thriving. And do
Yes.
you know what I find really funny is I went to see the new Bridget Jones movie this week in the cinema, and
Hold
there's
on, hold
always
on, hold on, hold on.
what?
There's a new Bridget Jones movie.
Yes. Oh my God, it's so good.
What the fuck have they still got to be talking about? I mean, really? There's a new one? I mean, do I live under a rock? Should that not be big news?
It is big news. You just obviously the
Oh.
algorithm doesn't see it for you.
Well,
But
I've
yeah,
never
she's
watched
had
any of them.
children. What?
I've never watched any of them, so I'm not their target audience. I'm not their target audience.
What? No, you need to watch them. Oh my God. You so
I
need
just
to
don't
watch
see
them.
what's the big deal. I can't judge what the big deal is, I suppose, because I've never watched them.
Oh, it's just, I mean, they're cheesy, but they are so relatable, like to every woman. And it was quite funny because there was a guy sat, so there was four of us that went, and we couldn't get seats all together. So we were on the same row, but there was this couple in between us. And I was thinking, oh, that
Romantic.
poor guy, like, because for women, it's really relatable. Like all the stages of life that she's going through, like she's so relatable. Like everyone can see themselves in Bridget. And I just kept thinking this poor guy. And at the end, I said to the girls on the other side, I was like, oh, that poor guy that was being dragged to the cinema to watch Bridget Jones. And then one of the girls was like, no, he was crying, like a lot of it. He was really into it.
I was just picturing Sandra will be the one dragging me. Yeah.
But it was so good. And yeah, I mean, it's all I mean, I think this is the last one. Very much because it was very much a tribute to all the others. And I won't spoil it for people that haven't seen it, but it was really good, and it's just so lovely. It's like, seeing one of your mates again.
Question. Same actors? Like same
Yeah,
people? So
yeah.
how long ago is it since the last movies?
Oh my God, years, isn't it? I mean, it must be like over 20 years. Must be.
Right.
But yeah,
Wow.
they are all looking old. It's mental. But well, you don't know because you haven't watched them. But Shaz in it, she's like the friend that's always like, "Come the fuck on, Bridget." She's the one that is always in the pub drinking
I
and
like
saying,
her.
"Oh,
I like her.
yeah, yeah, she's cool." But she's in this one. She's got a podcast, and I just find it so funny that so many like movies and TV shows now, there's always that one friend or someone that has a podcast, and we're that.
What we're the token friends.
Yeah.
We're the
Um,
friends are in the, like, oh, my friends have a podcast.
yeah.
We're the token friends. I love it. Why not? I'll be the token friend for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really good going to see that. And it was nice, it was just nice for us girls all to get together and do something like that. Like we had a nice drink at this like tapas bar beforehand, and then went to the cinema and got the popcorn, and it was just, it was a really nice evening. And to see Bridget again, that was fun.
Oh, well, you two and your best pals, huh? Fine. I love
Yeah.
it, Bridget. On the other hand, I did watch that. I was so intrigued, and people were bringing it up in the salon about the TV show Apple Cider Vinegar. I didn't watch that yet, but I have watched the documentary of the search of the Instagram's worst con artist. I think that's what it's called. We were talking about it during the week. I
Well,
watched
what
that.
what had happened was I had a bit of a brain dead moment and took a break in the day to just watch some TV. Watched it, and then I sent you a screenshot and was like, "Oh, you really need to watch this. It would be really something cool to talk about." And you phoned me instantly. You even had a client in the chair.
Instantly. I did. I had said to the client, I was like, I have to call her. I have to call her right now. And it's because I was trying to find a second all morning to talk to you to say, oh my God, we've got to watch this. It's so interesting. It's a great topic. And the two of us are morphing into one fucking person.
I know. I was like, "Are you serious?" You were like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about this on the podcast this week." And I was like, "Oh my God, are you
Mm,
serious?"
yeah. Because it's so interesting.
Yeah. So the documentary is
Belle.
called The Search for Instagram's Worst Con Artist. And then they've also done a drama series
Mm.
called Apple Cider Vinegar.
Just feed her psychotic state more, you know. She's probably at home watching it about herself, delighted with herself, getting all
Well,
the
it does.
attention.
That I watched both, because then I watched the documentary and then you were like, I wanted to talk about the drama series. So I was like, oh Christ, I need to get up to speed on both of them. So then I watched the Apple Cider Vinegar, and on every episode at the beginning, they say Belle Gibson hasn't been paid for this TV
Mm.
show. So they make a point that she's not benefiting at all. But holy Christ, if you haven't watched it and want to turn off and go and watch it. But if you do, keep listening because we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we are. So her name Bells Gibson. Great name, by the way. I don't
I know,
really
I
know what
thought
her
it was
other four
Mel
names
Gibson at
are.
first.
Oh, I know they kept on. And the Aussie accent, of course, is fantastic. I always forget how great sometimes the Aussie accent is. Like her stepfather is so incredible. His accent is amazing. But like, I love that. Like that friend that started seeing the red flags. Like she just wanted blood. Really, the minute she started
Mm.
realizing that she was telling lies, and I was like, wow, like go you know, like that was a big step to literally think it and then confront her straight away. And she
Mm.
knew from the confrontation immediately from her bullshit answers that fucking Dr. Phil came to the house and hooked her up to a fucking frequency German engineered box and then found
So
out that she had 4 more cancers.
yeah, so as a kind of in a nutshell of what this Belle Gibson is all about. So she arrived on Instagram and stuff telling everyone that she's had brain cancer and she got given 4 months to live, but she decided not to opt for medical treatment and decided to go down the health route, and she's cured herself. And so she got this absolute gigantic following and started releasing she released an app called the Whole Pantry, and even Apple put it as an app that you get with the watch. Like it was mega. And then Penguin Books then did her cookbook for her of all these recipes to cure cancer, and it was all bullshit. She
I
didn't
mean,
have
she just got
cancer.
tangled up in a web of lies, didn't she?
But
But
I
it
mean, massive,
started.
because people that had terminal cancer or any kind of cancer were following this and stopping taking the medical route because they thought they could cure it the natural way. Like it was
Well,
so damaging.
she looked so healthy, and like her Instagram was so amazing. The
Just
pictures were
because she
so
was healthy.
professional. Yeah, because she was fucking healthy. But people were like, I'm so ill from chemo and I'm so ill from radiation. And
Radiation.
their hair was falling out and their skin, and they'd scars from operations, and they're watching this young woman cure herself from terminal brain tumor, and she's looking healthy, she's eating all these healthy foods, and these people that decided to stop treatment and follow her blindly into the darkness is, or what they thought was the light. I mean, it's just outrageous. But then as it did progress and it went back, and like when that journalist decided to do a deep dive into Google because he couldn't find anything really about her pre that Instagram page, healthy
Mm.
options, he then found all of these stories, this blog skater page where she on there was like, I'm in Perth, I've just had open heart surgery. And like
Yeah.
in 2000, I mean, twice she had like open heart surgery twice. She died on the table for like just a little over or a little under 3 minutes. And she was putting this all on the blog. And like that friend that was doing the interview said, I wasn't really reading the blog because she's my friend. I talked to her in real life. I mean, it was just so outrageous, her lies. And then someone in that skater community that she used to hang out with in her teenage years actually did get diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor and did die. And it was a massive hit to all those friends. So she clearly just was like, oh my God, look at
She
all the
copied, yeah.
attention that he got.
Mm.
And she then diagnosed herself with
Yeah.
a brain tumor. I mean, what the fuck? She's
I know,
obviously got major issues.
all in the same year that she died on the operating table of having
Yeah,
open heart surgery, she also got brain
2009 was
cancer,
a
all on the same year.
2009 was a big year for Belle Gibson. I mean, and as all of this is kind of unfolding, I'm like, where is the family? Like, how has the family not been like, what the hell? You've got cancer? But like, her childhood just seemed all a little bit up and down. And like, when she was a teenager, she went to go live with this old man, and
Mm.
it was all a bit bizarre, really. And like, she was telling people like she was part of a witness protection program, and they did move around a lot. But it wasn't
It's
until
like
that art. Go on.
no, go on.
It was just not until that article came out, like when the mother actually read it and like rang up the company and was effing and blinding them, but then realized, like, oh my God, the family have just fallen on our lap. Let's interview them, and it just
It's
all
it
so
just blows
quickly
my
fell
mind that
apart for her.
she grew so big, and even with, Apple and Penguin as like her business partners essentially, because they really promoted her by doing the book and having the app as an essential on your Apple app wristwatch. That why didn't anyone check? Like, it's not that hard just to figure out if somebody genuinely their story is true. Like, the
I don't know,
smallest
like,
fact check. Just saying that you did it on Instagram is not concrete evidence. Like, it's just, but because she had so many followers, and it was she released her own app, that I think everyone just thought, well, she's got this far, so it must be true. But it's just absolutely just mind-blowing that our culture
it's
today genuine believes anything that anyone says online. Like, I mean, like, even us, like, me buying the castor oil and you getting the shakes and everything, we're doing it because of the promotion that they did, and they're telling us that it helps you. But we don't know if that's true, but we're following it and we're spending our money with it. And it just really highlights how vulnerable we all are to today's influencers, really.
Yeah. Oh my God, 100%. I mean, and even with research that you may do, that might also be wrong. Like, you really have to go down a rabbit hole and talk to actual professionals in the field, you know?
Mm.
Um, it's so mad to my brain. I mean, they brought the professionals on in this documentary to actually talk about it.
Yeah.
I love the lady in Melbourne, the head of neuro.
Yeah.
And she's described as the her nickname is the something of dragons from the TV
Oh,
series
Queen of Dragons from
Queen of Dragons. I don't know why. They just said that at the start, and I was like, oh God, that's actually quite a fascinating legacy she's got going on there. She intrigued me. But she was saying, like, you're in a state of dying if that was the case. And the facts of a brain tumor going to the spleen and your uterus is unheard of. Like,
Yeah, so
even the
that
spleen.
was it was when her friend confronted her, she was saying, you have to tell everyone the truth. So the next day she put out a post instead of telling the truth saying it's now spread to my spleen and my kidneys and everywhere. And
And
that was how that suddenly came about, was rather than her admitting it, she then said it was worse.
she
It's
doubled
just
down.
yeah,
I mean, I had to laugh so hard when she said Dr. Phil came to her house. It's like, what's the doctor's name? Oh, Dr. Phil. I was like, oh my God, be a little bit creative. But apparently
yeah,
there was a Phil. He wasn't a doctor, but there was a man called Phil. And he did do something in the healing world, but he wasn't a doctor. Dr. fucking Phil. How hilarious. But that friend, like, she did get, like, she tried to put it out there, like she contacted the police, she
yeah. No
contacted
one believed her
journalists,
though.
and they were just like, you're in a lot of trouble here, like, if you're saying accusations like this. And she was like, how do I continue, because from her point of view, this
Mm,
woman was making a lot of money off very vulnerable people, and she's like, it has to stop.
mm.
And I thought that was quite brave of her, putting herself out there. um
Well, yeah,
but
I
I
mean,
tell you
they
what.
tried to scare her quite a lot, like saying, this is slander. I mean,
Mm.
this isn't even people connected directly to Belle. This was like journalists and stuff that were saying, this is slander and everything. Are you sure you want to go down this route? And, that she must have been terrified of, like, well, would I go to prison? Will she really get away with this?
Yeah, and then do you know what? She actually probably would have had a good case of getting away with it to a degree. I mean, it still would have unraveled if she just gave the fucking money to charity that she was raising
I
for.
know. She spent it all,
Like, if
though.
like that 7-year-old young boy with brain tumor, like, she was raising money for that family. She was making the money. Like, she could have donated it. Like, she genuinely could have come across. People hated on her so badly because of mainly, well, the lying, obviously, but then the keeping of the money. Like, people just doubled down on their hatred for her and death threats and everything. And
Mm.
I was just like, you could have just given the fucking money to charity and the families you were raising it for. Like, you genuinely, and she's got a son, like, in the middle of all this. That poor boy.
But I just think, like, how long, if she had given the money, like, that was what called her out, because that's the only way they could
Yes.
pin her. Because really, she didn't actually break any laws. Um, but it was the charity fraud because she didn't
Mm.
pay the charities, that she had done all these Instagram campaigns around raising money and everyone donated. Um, but what I found absolutely freaking hilarious about this documentary was right at the end when they were like, because she did get taken to court in the end and she got a fine, but she's never paid it. And,
She's never paid it.
that they haven't chased her up for it. She's just never paid it. But it was just hilarious because then they found her and she was at this like charity conference for Ethiopia, like raising money for them, and she's pretending she's an Ethiopian and she's like got this accent and she does this interview and it's like, god, you really are deluded, like you are mental.
She's absolutely mental. Do you know who broke my heart? Like, my heart bled for the brother. It
Mm,
just bled for him. She lied about him. They were good friends. He just wants to talk to her. He still loves her. He won't forgive her, but he still loves her. And, like, what she has just done to everybody. And I honestly don't think she cares. Like, I
no,
think, and I laugh at the guy,
angry.
yeah. I laugh at the guy, the journalist, that was like, actually, you know what? She would have met a really good CEO. It's a pity, like, she went down this route in life simply because she actually would have had quite a promising future with the little bit of psychoticness that she does have. Because it would
Yeah.
be great as a CEO in a big company. You kind of need, what was the word he used? You need to be a little bit something to be a CEO, like a little bit deluded to be, for to a degree.
Mm.
Um But like she just, and plus even with the fine, like you said, like not paying it back, like she still owes all this fucking money. And she's flying to Bali, she's just hanging around Melbourne. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like it's absolutely crazy.
I know
Crazy.
she's had there's been no punishment at all. I mean, apart from the humiliation of being found out. I mean, she did this interview with 60 Minutes, and I actually
Mm.
saw a clip of this before I knew about any of this. And I saw a clip last week, and I just thought, who's that mental person? Because on there, the woman's like, "How old are you?" And she's like,
Oh,
"I've always been told I'm 26." And the woman's like, "Yeah, but how old are you?" Like, it's a really simple question. Like, "How old are you?" And
yeah.
she's like, "I've always been told I'm 26." And like, she just is so delusional. Like, oh, I mean, it just blew my mind today as a random kind of, oh, I'll just put that on Netflix just to reset my brain. To then watch that, I was like, what?
But the big question, of course, is like, you know, people want blood, but then actually, how much responsibility do we have to take for following people blind? You know, this is why they can't get her, right? Because
Mm.
through social media, people have took it upon themselves with no research to go down that path. And it's so sad that it's such a vulnerable community of people, of, you know, terminal people with cancer. I mean, obviously, she's delusional and ethically just completely wrong. But like, there is like, people want blood, but then how are you going to get it from her? You know, she's just walked away from it all. Like, she doesn't give a shit.
Mm.
She's just going to bounce from attention seeking to attention seeking wherever she can possibly find it. She's going to end up in a fucking jail someplace in the world that she really
Oh,
shouldn't
will
be.
she? I mean, really,
I
like
don't
we said, she's not
know.
actually been breaking any laws, so you can get away with this stuff. And it's like I said to you a few months ago. It's a really successful like social media uh, campaign is to show pain and like
Yeah.
to people love to support someone in trouble or hardship or anything. So like if you've been through a divorce or anything that's kind of like hard and you like put out there like I fought my way through and I've struggled and I'm here. It works like a charm because everybody loves to support the downtrodden, and that's what she preyed upon was,
Yes.
I have this problem, love me, and everyone poured love at her. And then she opened up that trust to then sell to them. And they all downloaded her app and they all followed her instructions. And that gave her then the source to then be approached by Apple and get a cookbook done because she had this credibility behind her where thousands and thousands, millions even, were following her. So the trust was there.
Well, and they knew that would sell. So for them, it was a money making genius machine, you know? And like, she spent weeks in Silicon Valley, flown there first class. Like, people were around her. Like, what
Mm.
did they think? Like, this girl riddled with cancer walking around Silicon Valley looking bright and beautiful and bushy tailed?
Well, it was her
I
diet.
mean, oh, of course, it was the green shakes every morning. Yes, yes. That's what
Mm.
helped me grow my pink hair. Um,
Yes.
I mean, it can be a preventative, I'm sure, having a clean diet, like, but it's definitely not a fucking cure.
Mm. And I do think, like, I mean, she obviously had, like, really. Actually, this goes to I've been progressing through my Rich Dad Poor Dad
Ooh.
chapters, and I am loving it. I'm probably going a bit slower because we're doing this book club, and I'm waiting to catch up all the time. But I'm at chapter 6, and it's all about like your skills and how the smartest people can be the dumbest people. Like, for example, like an artist can be really good at art and their work can be absolutely incredible, but they can't sell it because they don't have any marketing or sales skills. And it's that whole thing of you need to keep learning. And she just had really good marketing skills. Like, she understood, find a pain point, get people to trust you, and then fire out all the products and incentives to get them to raise money, to buy your app, because everyone was buying this app because they thought they were paying like $3 to buy it. because they thought all that $3 is going to a charity. So people were doing it. And, she really understood the marketing side that, if you've got a business and you're really struggling, and you're like, I don't understand. Like, I've written this book and it's really incredible, but no one wants to publish it. No one wants to buy it. No one wants to read it. Do go on like HubSpot, or there's loads of tools, and do some marketing, 10-minute courses of just how best to sell or how to position yourself. And it really, really does help. And yeah, it just was really relevant when I was reading Rich Dad this week, and that section of just how
Yeah.
important it is.
Oh my God, especially because of the industry that you're in. Like, you would have found that quite fascinating, right? Like, because I
Well,
had to learn
I
that.
instantly thought, oh God, I'm lucky that I've fallen into this industry.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to know marketing. Well, that's what I do.
Well, I mean, you're 20 years plus in that industry, and it's like, did you think in a million years what it would look like today from looking at
No,
it back then?
no.
Like, it
I was
must be
just
quite
really
mind blowing.
intrigued. Yeah. I mean, how I got into it, it was just, I was just sat in the office with the marketing guys, and I was just so curious. Like, when they'd be talking, I'll be like, what, you can see what country they're in? Like, what, you can see what they're doing? And I was just curious. So then I decided, oh, I think I want to do a bit of this, because I was
Mm.
just, when you're young, you're just floating. Well, you were very clear on what you wanted to do, but a lot of people kind of just float around different office jobs or different types of jobs, not really having a purpose of the career, like marketing or sales or design. I just was doing admin, and then fell in that office, and suddenly it directed me. But yeah, it's so different. And I do think sometimes, like, things, it's really hard for me to explain to people why to do something, because it's so normal for me. I just know how to do it. Do you know what I mean? But when, like, you
Yeah, of
say to
course.
me, like, when I try and explain something to you, I explain it terribly, because I don't know how to explain it. Just do it the way I'm saying, because I know it works.
Yeah, but like, you screen share with me, so you're showing me. I think that's a good skill you've got. You've got great patience. So I know you do this with your clients because I am one of them. And like, when you screen share to show and explain and the stats and breaking it down, and screen sharing is a very useful tool. Well, especially for me, because it's visual, and I'm
Mm.
good with visual. So you're extremely talented at having patience with people on the other side of a computer when you're screen sharing, trying to explain it, and when it's visual and they're physically doing it themselves. When I'm physically doing it myself, because I'm doing the actions, I'm able to then
Yeah.
redo those actions a lot easier. So even though, like, you might not be, as you say, maybe fantastic at explaining something, you are fantastic at showing. So
Well, I
there's a
always just feel,
compliment.
no matter, everyone has very different learning styles, but
Yeah.
I've always found the best way anyone learns is to do it themselves. So I
Mm.
like to do the screen share, because then you lead. So you're more likely to remember what you clicked on. If you're just watching me, you're
Yes.
never going to remember it. So I walk you through how to do things, and you're much more likely to remember then how to do it, or feel comfortable doing it because you've done it before.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, for me, marketing has just been a really fun thing to do for my business as well. And like, I mean, I see massive benefits in it. And sometimes it does get a bit overwhelming because you're doing it on top of everything. But practice, 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 and you just get faster at doing things. And then you start narrowing it
Mm.
down and aiming and firing better. But I definitely, like, if anybody is in an industry like myself where it's an industry where marketing had to be added into your day, take courses, like you said,
Yeah.
go into the hub, take those 10-minute courses, try to find those, key points, like, because sometimes we end up talking about a big load of bullshit, and there's no need. Like, aiming and firing is actually a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, I love my little bit of bullshit every now and then. Like, I get inspired just to put up something because I want to put it up, right? But like,
Mm.
if I don't want to waste my time, I had to dive deep into marketing to learn a few little tricks.
Yeah. And, it's not, you don't have to be the best marketer in the world, but it's just understanding, like, what you should focus on, because it makes it easier when you know that. when you're just, like you say, aiming and firing and no idea where it's going, you're creating more work for yourself. But anyway, we
Oh,
digress. I'm
yes.
progressing on
Sorry,
my
chapter
book,
6.
and I'm happy. Yeah, we got
Yes,
real
okay,
deep into marketing then.
we did. But when I was reading that chapter of the book, my thought process was like, common sense can prevail. Like,
Yeah.
I always was led to believe when I was in school, like that I was stupid. Like, I you couldn't do this or I couldn't do that, or, what'll you ever be in the world, or things like that. And I was like, I'll be just fine, thanks. Like, I never really got what they ever said. It never really went into my brain. I was just like, oh God. I was just like, I'll be fine. And then off I went traveling. And I realized then really quickly when I was traveling, common sense isn't common. That's what I got from that chapter of the book. And I was like, you know
Mm.
what? I think people with a little bit of street cred, a little bit of common sense, you'll be fine. Just throw yourself into anything and you'll be fine. But then I am still reading or listening to the 5 a.m. club, and I ran out of goddamn hours on my Spotify, and I'm only an hour away from finishing it.
No!
Oh my God. And like part of that hour, the last chapter, I sneakily, I don't normally have a look, but it's like 5 years later. And because it's a storyline about these four characters, I'm fucking dying to find out
Oh,
where they
no.
all end up 5 years later. Because the book is actually 11 hours long. Isn't I
So
didn't
how long
realize.
how long do you get on Spotify? What's your allowance?
Honestly, I don't know, but it has to be more than 10 hours because I didn't just listen to this book. Like, I go in and out of a communications book that I've been trying to digest as well. So I honestly I honestly never looked. I just kind of wait for it to pop up, but I'm pretty sure it's getting renewed very shortly. Oh, I can't wait to get into it. I swear to God. And I've been influenced so much by it. Like, since I talked about the panic attack, I haven't drank since. And the panic attack kind of brought up things for me, which made me lead myself into actually double downing on some of the habits that the 5 a.m. club talk about, because
Right.
I obviously got the panic attack. I can't pinpoint exactly, but if I had to put a couple of things together, I did. I wrote down what I thought might have been the cause, and obviously, they compounded over a period of time. So I wrote them all
Mm.
down and I kind of faced them. Like, I probably maybe had a bit of fear around them,
Right.
and it kept on possibly popping up. So I decided to write them down and I created a strategy for each one of those things to either clear it or work through it, or like that's going to be something ongoing. So create space for it in your life. So yeah, I highly recommend this book to
Yeah.
everybody. I mean, 11
And
hours is
how
quite crazy.
that is quite a lot. I'm desperate to ask you how your investing journey in shares is going, because I feel like I'm,
Oh,
like, really progressing. And I keep
it's
saying
so
progressing. That seems
addictive.
to be my word for this episode, progressing.
That's okay. Now we got a title. So I Rocket Lab went from the New Zealand, because you're on shares, see. So you would
Yeah.
have been able to invest in Rocket Lab, which is a Kiwi company. But I had, because I'm on Hatch, I had to wait for it to hit the American market. So it actually hit the American market, and I just spent all the money that I had in my account. I didn't have a
Wow.
lot left. Well, I put $1,000 in last year, and I've just been kind of
Crikey.
dabbling away. Yeah, and I just dabble away at like spending that $1,000 and watching the market. And I saw that, yeah, I saw that Rocket Lab. So I
Oh,
put
is
all
this
the
one
rest
to
of that
watch?
money.
Is this a tip from you to have a look at Rocket Lab?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, have a look into it, and obviously make your own decisions from there. I'm not telling you spend your money on Rocket Lab. I personally have. I do need to go in and have a little look at how it's doing. I'll do it after this, and I can let you know next week what it's after doing, or if it's done anything, or if it's gone down.
Wow.
Maybe it's gone down. And you?
Because I suddenly had a bit of a light bulb moment. I got my firewood delivered, and I was chatting to the guy who delivered it and stuff, and we were talking about Cromwell, and I forgot that, like, the reason I wanted to do this was because of a conversation that I had with a girl in my networking group that she said she used Sharesies because she wanted to get shares. So they found gold just outside Cromwell, where I live, and a big mining company from Australia, like they have massive mining companies in Australia. They're now coming over here to mine for this gold, and they've already found more. So I mean, they haven't even really started, but they found sites where there's more, so it's set to bloody explode. Like, literally, I bought a house on a gold mine. It is going to explode as soon as they get going. And I think one of the questions at one of the events that they did was, if you found more elsewhere, are you going to expand? And the guy's answer was just real simple and was like, yes. So I've invested in their shares, in their New Zealand share. They have an Australian one. But
so what's their? Give us the name. What have you missed? I'm waiting with a fucking pen here.
Santana Minerals.
Can we spell that, please?
Santana. So, I mean, they're on the NZX, the New Zealand Stock Exchange. So I presume that's obviously the New Zealand one is going to be the one that's linked to this gold mine. But obviously they have an Australian one as well on the Australian stock market.
Well, I haven't looked on my hatch, but my God, do I have to open up another bloody...
I know. Well, have a look, because I was like, that's freaking genius, because although it's not much is happening right now, Christ, when they begin.
But that's the time. That's the time, though. Like, it's not when it's fucking happening. You got to get in beforehand. I mean, like, oh God, absolutely amazing, Charlotte. Well done.
Hot tip, huh? Hot tip.
Well done. And next week we are going to be we're going to be together. We are going to be together next week. We are going to be just outside Kingston, and we're going to be in Southland, my neck of the woods. And we're going to the Guinness World Book Record event.
That was brilliant. That was brilliant.
Blah, blah, blah. For the most Hiluxes in one area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm excited.
So Guinness
I have a Hilux.
Book of World Records was what she meant to say, but yes. Guinness Records World Book.
That's what happens when I fucking concentrate. So we're going to go GWD, Toyota, and Real Country. Follow them on Instagram. All the information is there. There's a Facebook page. You can register. Get your Hilux there. We'd like to get over. We would like I'm part of the organization. I'm not, but we would like to get over 1,000 Hiluxes in one place. There is a car park for I wish I had a Hilux, so you can still come to the event. But I don't care about you because I have a Hilux. I've never been so selfish about the fact that, or never so happy about the fact that I have a truck and a Hilux. And you'll notice I'm saying I have one, even though it's Sandro's work truck, but I pay for it and now it's mine because I have somewhere to go in it that I really will enjoy.
No, it's going to be a really good event, and I think it's just going to be a real buzz to get everyone there for this Guinness World Record, and it's going to be really fun, and we can't wait. So if you're in the area, if you have a Hilux, or you just want to come along to see what's happening, join us next week. What is it? Sunday the 3rd, is it?
2nd.
I can't remember. The 2nd of March. We will be there. Very excited.
So excited.
I'm like, this is so not my thing, but I'm coming and I'm excited for you.
Thank you. A true relationship.